TV.
Welcome to Business Conversation on Clean Money TV. I'm Odipo G, and as always, I'm joined with Kanyarati and Abayo. And today we want to touch on something that came to our attention in the middle of us talking about finances. We were talking about finances, and last time, Oscar just blew our minds away with some very, very good advice and counsel, and he took us through the mind of an investor, which was very, very interesting. And he said he'd be available for subsequent episodes, and we will get him. But today we want to touch on something that was published, I believe it was on October 12th, about Tesco and Kakuzi. And that one just shook the market. It totally just disrupted our entire flow of thinking, because Tesco are very, very big buyers of fresh produce, more so from Kakuzi, and avocado being one of the products that was leading. And we in more or less in the industry, like Kanyarati and Nick Abayo are really into that industry. So we thought, hey, let's touch on that based on three different elements. We're going to look at that whole Tesco Kakuzi scenario in three different elements, and then we will see how to just break it down between this episode and even the subsequent episodes, because there is an ethical angle to look at from, and then we're going to look at also the effect of the smallholder farmer, whether it is negative or positive. You'd be surprised that it might be even more positive than negative, although many people look at it and see as if it is only negative. And then we shall also be looking at the economic repercussions and the thought process that might have caused this particular fiasco between Tesco and Kakuzi. So welcome to the show, and we hope that you'll have a good one. Nick.
Yes.
This one, you're the one who actually brought it to my attention, the whole aspect of Tesco and Kakuzi, and it has touched on your industry, the heart of your industry, 100%. And one of the things that you pointed out was the ethical aspect of this particular fiasco. So I was just wondering, take us through that ethical fiasco, the ethical bit of the fracas between these two big boys.
One thing is we need to confirm if the case is in court, so that we're not messed up by sub judice and all that issues. But we need to look at it from an angle that touches on the integrity of agribusiness. Okay? Not necessarily Kakuzi, but could there be another quote-unquote Kakuzi situation likely to come up very soon? You see, so what is the integrity of agribusiness, and how does that affect the typical farmer or the person who is about to get into the industry?
Yeah, probably just a brief overview. Just give us a brief overview of the issue between Tesco and Kakuzi, just a synopsis of that story.
It's, for lack of a better word, this is a case of admin hide my ID. Because there is an anonymous accusation towards Kakuzi that has been treated so seriously.
Yes, some guards misbehaved and violated.
Messed up, and somebody took up the issue. But what is of concern is, why is the issue not reported to the area of Kakuzi's jurisdiction? That is the Kenyan police. Yeah, why does it have to go to London, then come back? So that raises very many questions as towards the motive of that person, because matters to do with integrity and such serious allegations are taken so seriously when you're dealing with international trade. You see, so the person who did that has their own motivation. Probably it's true, but what if it's not true? You've messed up a whole company. You see, because...
In fact, an industry, may I say.
Yeah, because everyone will be like Kenyan avocado and all that. You see, or the Kenyan agribusiness sector. How do they treat their employees? How do they take care of, like, probably it is going to boil down to even tax. How do we pay our taxes and all that? You've technically exposed so much. Okay? If somebody was seeking justice, start by reporting to, like, Kakuzi is around Makuyu. okay, go there to the OCS, report. If action is not taken, go to the next level.
Yeah, but I
Before
think
you get to report these people to like Tesco, then the effects happen as they are, because it's immediate cancellation of an order.
Yes.
Assuming it was an order worth 3 billion.
Yeah, so to me, I'm looking at it from the point of where we have someone who did some good ethical practices and we had someone who partook of some bad ethical practices in this case. The move by Tesco to come out and condemn the accusations that were being labeled against Kakuzi, that was a good ethical practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
They did not join them in the hiding, or they did not.
No.
Yeah,
In fact, they have said
came out.
clearly they are willing to be put to the test. They're willing to be put on the carpet, to be tested whether it's true or false. And even when it is, what jurisdiction are they working with? There are so many things that will happen here. Will we run to London every time there's an issue?
Does that
Will we
mean we
always hide
don't
under
trust our
somebody else
police?
so that it doesn't come out?
Yeah.
It's
And why,
terrible.
if you're raped, I mean, because some of the allegations there were rape. If you are raped, I mean, rape is a serious psychological issue. Yeah, you are so affected, which means you're so affected, but you're hiding your ID. How will we go through the processes of ensuring you get justice?
Or even getting to the right person
Yeah.
who actually committed.
Yeah, you see, because
Very
now
thin.
that's what I'm saying. What if it's an economic sabotage?
Well, it could be. You can look at it from that particular front. And then
Yeah,
another
that's what I'm
thing-
saying. It's difficult to actually discuss the actual case because of matters of law and all that.
So since it's more or less your sector, being the avocado sector, that has been affected mostly by this particular decision,
Yeah.
what are some of the ethical practices that are needed in your sector that have been violated or that could have been avoided in this particular story? In the sector, in the avocado area, like these ethical practices, A, B, C, D, F, G, H. If you just
It's
have
a general.
few.
It's not necessarily in avocado. This is something general. It's in the agriculture industry, because there are very many audits that go through. There's even an ethics and integrity audit that actually some of these companies have to go through for them to be listed under fair trade. You see, so long as you have that fair trade certificate, you're able to actually try. These people, the client on the other end will see that actually this person has employed the best practices so far in the industry, okay? And they're stringent. That's why you see such a violation leads to an immediate cancellation because of these stringent rules. You see, you have to abide by them. There's a way you have to treat your employees. There's a way you have to have a social, the social responsibility towards the people and all that. So these are very stringent rules. Okay, then we have the good agricultural practices, the global gap. I know some of you have interacted with such a terminology. How do you now, that comes to the farm, your issues at the farm and all that. They even have some audits that happen at the pack house. Okay, and see how is this pack house safe to work in?
The environment.
Yeah, the environment. You see, so when you tell guys agriculture is about the business, now you actually see the things that you have to go through to meet these standards, and they're very serious. You see, and one violation messes up so much. You see, so they're bad ethical practices. The first one will be like, the client is expecting you to send 4 kgs, but you've sent 3.8 kgs and billed for 4 kgs. See that 200-gram difference? At the end of the day, that's theft.
Yeah, people need to understand the 200-gram difference. One container carries how many boxes?
5,520, depending on the size.
So you can imagine doing 200 grams
Of 5,000.
times 5,000.
There's several many kilos.
Yeah, that's almost a ton actually.
Yeah, so
that's almost a ton.
you've ended up ripping off your client of some money.
Yes.
You see, then probably the client expects you to ship hearse, and you ship fertile with the price of hers. You see, that's also an integrity issue. You see, or even your packaging. You're supposed to do it's supposed to meet some standards, and it doesn't.
Boxes collapsing.
Issues of boxes collapsing have actually been a serious issue in the Kenyan fruit.
By boxes collapsing, what do you mean by boxes collapsing?
You see, when you're shipping your fruit, it's stacked in pallets. So you imagine they're stacked and actually strapped very nicely. They look so nice when they're strapped. Then by the time these pallets are getting to the client, they have collapsed. They are not as straight as they were. They actually
like a tower.
They look like a tower. But now by the time they're getting there, they are
the leaning tower.
So that's a major concern. It was raised by clients in Europe. Most of the clients actually started complaining, but Kenyan companies took it very seriously and actually addressed the issue.
What was the cause of that collapse? Is it the poor quality of the boxes?
Yeah, it was the quality.
Standards, Bureau of Standards.
The quality of our boxes. Some of the quality.
Their standards are higher than ours.
Not really. No, if your boxes get there when they're straight, who has an issue?
True. So just resolve the issue. That's what you are being told.
Just resolve the issue. And also the type of fruit, the maturity level. You see, somebody will think, see, I've packed, I've shipped. Okay? Then a client buys your fruit, then it starts ripening differently. One ripens today, another after 21 days. You see, so there's one of the clients from Netherlands actually who raised a concern about the ripening of the Kenyan avocados. It is not uniform. So that boils down to our maturity. Are we selling immature fruit? Yeah. So it's technically that. You see, just be on the straight and narrow. The client does not have an issue with paying you. You see, they will pay, but achieve those standards. Give them what they want.
Ethics seems to stem a lot from humanity, what we call utu in Kiswahili. Because basically, when someone is sitting down and thinking of how they can be able to steal 200 grams, that's someone who is being more selfish than selfless.
Yeah.
That is someone who is thinking more about how they can be able to benefit more.
Yeah.
And in that benefiting extra,
it's cutting corners.
Yes, they need to cut corners and do something extra in order to get that extra cash.
Which is very expensive.
Yeah, which can be very expensive.
Now, I'm going to look at it both ways. When we discuss ethics and ethics in this purpose, we are trying to say that there's someone who has failed along the way. And in Kakuzi's case, it's based on human rights. I don't think it's the product. I don't think it's the quality. I mean, packaging, export, ripening, time, I don't think those are, it's not the fruit that is being blamed. It's the other part of the human element. Yeah. And when we need to realize here that the world, especially in the West, and specifically Europe, is very, very cautious, takes the issue of human rights very, very highly. And we realize that when we look at this case, the issues that have been swept under the carpet for a while. That's just my take. I think maybe a report or one or two was done, but not I mean, so I think, so this is just based on my hunch, that it's finally coming to the forefront, and now it's time to take responsibility and do something about it. Unfortunately, the impact of it is not just because Kakuzi all its export is not grown by Kakuzi. There are many smallholder farmers who supply them with product. Those are the people who suffer most because they have brought their product and now it's not been accepted.
In fact, we'll touch on the smallholder farmers right next after we finish with the ethics. Let me just get to Nick a few questions before we get to the smallholder farmers.
I was not even going to go about the smallholder farmers first.
It's good that you've touched on it.
I agree.
Yeah, seeing that we're coming through. when it comes to ethics and agriculture and agribusiness practices, who governs these ethics? Who or what governs ethics? Yeah. Who or what governs?
There's a fair trade body that actually governs all these issues. They set standards of what you need to do, what you need to achieve, and all that. And as I had mentioned earlier, there are those audit protocols that you have to go through. And Kenya is a signatory to some of these issues. And also, even just by law, we also governed by the Kenyan law. I can't employ a minor. See, just like there's a company in, I think it's in Zimbabwe, the same thing happened. They lost their contract because a kid was going to play in the farm, then took a hoe and started digging. Somebody took a photo of that, sent it to the clients. Try simple. Yet it was somebody's kid was just playing around and started playing this thing. You see, so shows you how serious. So, yeah, the contract was renewed the other day because they actually proved that this kid was just playing around there. There's never been a kid in there. Somebody that day was coming and came with a kid, and the kid was just playing, being a kid normally. Yeah. So such are the things that actually come to the forefront. Okay, matters of child labor. It goes to as far as wages. How are you compensating your employees? That driver, how many hours is he working? You see, that person works at, even your secretary. So long as you're an agricultural company, there's some standards that you have to comply to. Mm-hmm. Yeah, your pack house, how clean is it? How congested is it?
International standards.
The international standards. Mm-hmm. You walk to an American company, you walk to a Turkish company, you walk to a Swedish company, a Kenyan company, all should be standard. It should be standard because we play in the same market. You see, so it all should be standard. So it's all governed under fair trade. If you look at some of the companies in Kenya, they have a fair trade stamp on their logos and all that, which means they've gone through all these audit and they've been certified to actually participate on fair trade. They are fair trade companies. Yeah. So they are certified to do all that. Some of the companies, if you go online, you'll see have a Global Gap logo. It only means one thing. They have gone through the audits for Global Gap and they're okay.
Do we have any standards that are seen as ethical in one area or in one particular region or zone, and then they're ethical in another? For instance, I understand that there are some cultures where it is the women they're nomads. It is the women who build the houses. Mm-hmm. Whenever they stop, the men ranch, and herd the cattle, mm-hmm. but it is the women who build
the manyatas.
Yes, the manyatas and
like Maasai, for example.
Yes.
The pastoralist community.
The pastoralist community, yes, in general. Yes, so it's just an example. Yeah. And there are some cultures where the women are not allowed anywhere near building a house. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to agriculture and agribusiness, are there some ethics that are probably acceptable in some regions
and unacceptable
in others? Yeah. For instance, you might find I know Mexico produces quite a bit of fuerte. Mm-hmm. Yes, or fuerte, as they may call it. You might find probably there the age limit is between a certain age and a certain age. Mm-hmm. And then when you bring the same age group to Kenya, it doesn't work. It's unacceptable. So I'm just something like that. I'm looking for something like that. Is there something like that?
By International Bill of Rights, I don't think there's anywhere written that there's a place where a woman should not. There's no place of the woman or the man. See, so such things can be sidestepped because so long as the lady is not a minor, we are okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the issues are normally on minors and slave trade. Yeah. That's why they have to come and check how are you compensating these guys.
Again, I know I said I was going to touch on two ways, and then you try and understand how things work. I have been following up to understand how South America, of course, became the biggest exporters of the avocado. And you'll realize today, when you talk of human rights, yet they're still exporting a lot of those products to places like even Europe and the US in particular, because that's the biggest market in the world, there's still a lot of questions because it is the drug of choice today in those South American countries, and specifically in Mexico. It has become a major issue where drug lords, instead of running and struggling with things that are illegal and other, they're taking over sectors. And they're running that. The question is, how unethical is that, or how ethical is that? Yet internationally, they're still being exported. They are asking us, so if we block this, I'm sure, seated somewhere, someone is saying, so if we block the avocado from Southern, from Mexico, for example?
I think
so. It's become, that line sometimes can be hazy. But you also have to realize, I tend to think, and maybe Nick, you have every right to correct me. I tend to think they tend to give us a slightly higher standard, which it is not necessarily written on paper than some of those other countries. I mean, who is not importing things from China? But human rights there are a major take.
Now, let's put it.
So, you see, I'm just trying to say that and that's why I said I'll play both sides. I need us to understand that our calling tends to us to make a higher level than many other countries in the world, because there's a way, and I went through, there's something which I saw, and it gave a clear picture of how things are supposed to be. Even just going down to the processing and producing that oil will never be encouraged. Someone would rather that same product goes to Europe and is processed there into oil. But anyway, I think I'm playing around with this. Yeah. Bottom line here is there are standards which must be met.
True.
If we don't meet those standards, there are consequences for them. And those consequences are based on the fact that we have failed to implement everything to the letter. I think ours is simple. Do your part either as the farmer, there's the agribusiness person, all those things. Every stage counts towards the product on the other side. So we must not do anything in isolation. I think that's what I'm seeing.
Okay, this is just to respond to what you said. Like in Mexico, we currently have drug lords who are running farms and all that. There's a very thin line and between being controversial and actually standing for the truth. Now let's put it this way. This guy is a drug lord, okay, and he's running his agricultural business and has met all the fair trade protocols, the global gap. He's certified, he's paying his employees well, there's no minor in that company. He's okay technically.
No, and I'll correct you. Actually, they come and forcibly take over. Hostile takeover of farms.
Now that is one criminal.
And I agree, but the product is still being exported.
But
and
the owners of this company,
I think Sweden, one of them in Europe, has started calling it out.
Yeah. Now you see, the more it's called out, these guys do not mind getting you off the market. They really don't mind getting you off the market. They'll get you, and some other countries will be given twice the order. Let's hope we can be able to sustain it if we are given. You see, but because you have to go through all this, the moment they are gotten off, their country will come and actually address it. You see, so let's hope guys will start complaining. The more they complain, individual companies or individual farms will start being blocked, because again, we cannot block a whole country. You see, they're just specific companies that probably the owners of the company will go say, our company was forcefully taken over. Yes, we're out.
You know, just to touch on, that's something very interesting that Kanyarati has raised in relation to ethics now. So in my head, I'm wondering, so what would be the most ethical thing to do, whereas we know that this particular conglomerate is being run by drug money? We know, the police know, everyone knows, but they are my biggest suppliers of a particular, of Hass and Fuerte and Snow Peas and Sugar Snap and all these things, you know. So I know where the source of this money is coming from. It's from an unethical place, but it's being cleaned through an ethical business. that is coming to me who am doing a clean business as well. So here is a drug lord who has taken over an industry, hostile takeover, yes, of the biggest conglomerate that used to supply me with 90% of my fresh. Okay? Now, the ethical thing to do seems, or rather the ethical thing to do, and it seems like it is the most ethical thing to do, is to cancel that particular order. But you see, if I cancel that particular order on ethical grounds that are unsubstantiated, it might cause other problems. So in such a scenario, what would be the most ethical thing to do?
The most ethical thing to do is what you've just said. Cancel that order. Because there's no way I can be fueling. Giving you money means encouraging your business. Okay? It's the same thing. Assuming I have children working in my farm, yet I supply you with the best quality. You continuing to buy the produce from me means you are encouraging child labor. It doesn't work both ways. That is the truth, that is the reality. So long as there is a violation of human rights in any farm, just cancel the order.
For example,
it hurts, whether it really hurts, but it has to happen.
I think, sometimes we look at it, what are human rights and where do they stop and where do they start? I think that's another thing we need to understand. I think we have discussed one time or another about Peru and how a farm, an organization from Germany took up some property in some valley in Peru. They started growing avocados, they grew big, they took over property, and they completely took over the waters in that area. Other farmers suffer. They dug deeper wells, the river was diverted to their farms, the others are suffering. So you see, sometimes it may not be something you can come and see, oh, everything looks good on your farm, but you have affected other people. So in other words, ethics is such a thin line, because if you say now, this guy will say, who are you? I've done everything you want me to do. I don't have child labor, I'm paying well, we work the right hours, we are also managing ethically, we don't use chemicals, we don't use, his product is completely kosher.
But your social
thank you.
Responsibility is compromised.
So
at the end of the day,
saying human rights and ethics go together,
yes,
end to end.
End to end.
So because if you're affecting your community, it means your product doesn't qualify.
Yeah. And it can be tied back to human rights, because even child labor is affecting your community, slave trade is affecting your community. If you're underpaying, overworking your people, you're affecting the community. You see, it's that simple.
So as we close, because one of the things I want us to touch about also is just to talk about, or rather you just mentioned to us, what are some of the future repercussions, or what are some of the future ripples that we might see because of this Kakuzi Tesco. Yeah, before that, what are some of the things that you can point out that can cultivate good ethical practices? Because I have seen ethics, to me, looks like a seed. And out of that particular seed, you get the fruits, So I'm sitting down and I'm asking myself, so for me who wants to start an organization or who wants to run an organization, and I want the fruits of good ethics, what are some of the seeds that I need to plant in the foundation to be able to guarantee me better or 100% good ethics? Because if there's one thing that can be able to ruin a company about ethics, so something that can be able to be manure to a company are good ethics.
Yeah.
So what are some of the seeds?
Promote integrity in your company. Integrity in the form that you don't compromise on quality, you don't compromise on quantity, you don't compromise on human resource violations in any way. How you're going to look at it, is it harassment in the workplace? Is it child labor? Is it remuneration? Because people might think that remuneration is something that we just sit down and decide, I'm going to pay this guy this much. Okay, in as much as he accepts, but like Kenya has its wage bill. The the amount of money you have to pay somebody at the end of the month.
Minimum wage.
Yeah, the minimum wage. Is it per day or per month? It has to be calculated in a way. If you go below that, what does that mean? Okay, yes, there's what is called privity of contract, such that whatever you two agree, nobody can come and change. But at the end of the day, does it meet those standards? Okay, then encourage a way of complaints. If a staff has a complaint, how do they raise it? Okay, and how do you address it? Okay, then you also need to have a way whereby you appreciate your staff. Okay, the way you appreciate them, also have disciplinary measures about it, such that anyone knows, I do 1, 2, 3 things, X is bound to happen. Okay, and in as much as some things point to summary dismissal, also give people an opportunity to be heard.
The other thing, you've mentioned something that I've just been reminded. I believe it was Richard Branson who mentioned that one of the greatest assets that we need to understand that we have as business people is not the product, but the people who make that particular, the human labor. That is your greatest asset as a business owner. So too many people put value in the product. For instance, if it's a branded mug, I will put more effort on the branded mug than the person who is actually branding the mug. And the person branding the mug is my asset.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
Thing is, what you need to understand is everybody from the gateman in your farm to the cleaner, to the directors, to the managers, everybody is a marketer.
Yes.
Okay? So everybody carries the image of the company. So how you want your company to appear is the same way will actually be shown in how you treat these people. But also, what are you doing at the farm level? You can be good in the office, but at the farm, what are you doing?
Yeah,
how are you spraying your product?
Which is very good. I remember there was a time I went to, and this one, you give credit where it's due. I was in Carnival. That is last month. That was in August, not last month. So what happened is, as we were getting into the gate, the greeting and the welcome we got from the gateman, honestly speaking, was beautiful. It was warm.
Will you go back there?
I will.
What if the watchman addressed you badly?
That would have been.
Now you
You're
see.
very right. Yes.
So guys, I think our life is based on experiences.
Yeah.
Everything, even that guy eating that avocado in Europe, the joy that avocado brings is very important. It's that experience of eating that avocado. Likewise, the guy here, the farmer here, when he's paid on time, he's given a fair price. He has a good experience. So this thing trickles down, like you're saying, the security guy, the packers, the supervisor, the manager, the owner of the company, all of them are a team that are trying to create an environment and a good experience for everybody who's running that setup. Yeah. So that even at the end of the day, when you make it easy, like you clearly told us, that there has to be a way of channeling complaints to the management, with that is not offensive or does not victimize anyone. If you create that space, of course, it means that I am more comfortable coming to say, you know what, I'm unhappy because of ABCD. I've been harassed by so and so. This manager does not pay me. It does not pay me until he gets a. You know, there are places where you pay somebody and there's a supervisor who chooses is getting a small commission from that same salary. So it's a whole end-to-end product. Yeah. And if we don't follow those things from scratch, we are the ones who will end up suffering, because all that guy has to say is stop your product. Yeah. It doesn't qualify.
One of the things
it's that simple.
One of the things I have been taught and I am embracing even as we just grow in business is that learning that we should never treat, or rather, it is not wise, let me call it is not wise to treat your customer better than you treat your employees. It is not wise.
The law of customer is king.
Yeah.
That law of customer is king at times I always doubt it. Because the first customer of your product is your employee.
Yes.
That is what people don't know. Because if I sell bread, the first customer is the person who's making that bread. So if I can't sell, if your
He won't even buy
employee
his own product.
Yeah, if your employee cannot buy your product, there's an issue.
Yeah, I actually was told of a milk company where the employees categorically even tell their relatives, don't buy milk from our company.
Yes.
And you're wondering, what do you mean? You work there? Like, yeah, I work there. That's why. I'm
Don't
telling you,
buy
don't buy.
Yeah.
That's very eye-opening. Actually, now that you look at it seriously, your employee is your first customer.
Your employee is your first customer.
Yeah.
So if the customer is king, your employee is what?
Exactly. That's your asset.
Yeah.
It boils down to your asset.
But we don't look at it that way.
Anyway, as we're closing down, since time is already up, what is the future of what is the ripple effects of this Tesco Kakuzi move that you're seeing? Are we seeing what are the future repercussions?
We hope it's resolved very soon, because one, we never want to see a Kenyan company out of business, because Tesco is a very, very big client. It's the largest supermarket in the UK. Yes. That's a very big asset.
It was over 3,000 stores or 33,000 something.
Losing that is going to actually appear in Kakuzi books. So we hope it's resolved very fast, and we hope guys learn from it, because the ripple effect is some farmers will have nowhere to take their produce because they're probably bound by a contract with Kakuzi. So what does that mean? There's loss of income to the last unit of production, which is the farmer. You see, so that's why I'm hoping and praying they resolve it very soon, so that these people can continue selling their produce. You see, two, it's an eye opener to other companies. So never look at situations as bad as they appear. It's a learning curve. So any other company that is looking to be the next Kakuzi knows what to set up. You see, yeah, but we really hope Kakuzi are able to solve this very soon. They have, at least they're trying to work with the Kenyan authorities and all that to ensure this is resolved very fast. At least that is something I'm aware of. Yeah, I've seen them approach some few regulatory bodies here to help actually resolve this matter. We hope Tesco will come in, and because for them to have given them the order, it only means they trust them. So we hope the trust can be got back, and these guys can continue with their business. Yeah, and you and I who are about to do that, to get into that business, look at what Integrity does, and set up systems that can actually curtail such things from happening.
Are we looking at a rise of alternative markets? In terms of someone had been so stuck with one particular market, and now that it has been stopped, their eyes need to start opening up to other possibilities in that particular same industry. Are we seeing a possibility of a rise?
It's tricky because
the same way we have seen a rise in online buying platforms. They just blew up. Why? Because of the COVID time.
Yeah.
So
including online
like
meetings and all that. But this is different. This is an agricultural product. Okay, there are what is called phytosanitary protocols that have to be signed between Kenya and the country you're targeting. So if there's nothing like that, unfortunately, you can't do it. But we also need to encourage the people and the government that to hasten in opening up more markets for the Kenyan products. Such that
are we able to export to America now?
The stuff is still happening. The trade agreement is still. It's going to take time. Probably the first. Probably another year or two. But there are products that we can export to America currently, and it's called the IGAD. Yeah, we can still do it under IGAD. Like the baby corns and some of the veggies that we produce, we can able to export them to the US market. Okay. Yeah. So alternative markets might be tricky, but that order, playing the devil here, can be split into 3 other companies. If Kakuzi was doing 3,000, they give one company 1,000, 1,000, 1,000. So it still can happen. But we actually just wish they can resolve it so that it's for the betterment. Because it's our brothers and sisters who work for Kakuzi.
It's the same people.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, families will.
And you have to look at that value chain from
the transporter.
No, even from the seedling to the shipping company. They're taking so
The entire value chain.
It's an entire value chain.
The entire value
So
chain.
an entire value chain has been ripped off.
Yeah.
That's very true. Now, the next time we'll be coming through, we'll be looking at someone very important in the value chain, who's the smallholder farmer, and Kanyarati will take us through that. But one of the things that we have actually just established is that, one, it's very important for you to realize that the assets that you have as a business owner are your employees. Those are your first assets. Those are your first customers. And as Nick has said, customer being king. If you believe customer is king, your first customer, who is actually your employee, is your first customer. And they're the ones who you need to treat just as well, if not better, than the second customer who is now buying your product. That's very, very important. Ethics. One of the things that I have really solidified when it comes to ethics is understanding the importance of treating people the exact same way I would want or expect them to treat me. You see, the two are very different. Wanting someone to treat you in a certain way and expecting someone to treat you in a certain way are two very different things. The latter seems to have more of an expectation, kind of like seniority complex, but the other one is based on humanity. Let's treat each other the way I would want you to treat me. And I think if we apply that from the gate person to your receptionist, to your groundsman, to your CFO, to your CEO, once that culture is established, you'll be as big as it can get. Some of the greatest companies that have grown, if you read stories of companies like Walmart, you'll realize that there was a very deep-rooted relationship between the top brass and those who cleaned even the aisles. And in that, ladies and gentlemen, we conclude today's business conversation on Clean Money TV, based on the story between Tesco cancelling their contract with Kakuzi based on some human rights violations, and we were looking at it from the point of ethics. When we come back the next time, we'll be looking at it from the point of a smallholder farmer, and Kanyarati will be taking us through that. And then later on, we shall be looking at it from an economic point. What was the mind behind such a move? And indeed, we'll be learning quite a bit on how to establish ourselves as agribusiness and agripreneurs, and not just people practicing agriculture. God bless you until next time. Cheers.